Bruchim haboim, welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Nun Daled Amud Aleph, 10 lines from the bottom. The Gemara is discussing Birachos of Birchas HaShvach. Says the Gemara, bringing a Brisa, Tonu Rabbanon, Haroya me'avrois hayom, u'me'abrois hayarden, u'me'abros nachalei arnon. If a person sees the place where they passed, either Yam Suf or the Yarden when it was split, the place where it was split, or Nachalei Arnon, which the Gemara will explain. Avne al Gavish, the Gemara will explain these hailstones. B'mored Beis Choroin, the Gemara will explain what this is referring to. Ve'even shebikesh lizroik oig melech haboshan, who wanted to throw a stone against Klal Yisrael. Al Yisrael, ve'even sheyoshov aleh Moshe, the stone that Moshe Rabbeinu sat on, b'shah she'osa Yoshua milchama ba'amalek. V'ishto shaloit, or a person sees the wife of Lot in a pillar of melach. V'choimas Yericho shenivla b'mekoimo, that fell down. Al kulon sorich she'itin hoida v'shevach lifnei hamakom. Each and every one of these things, these are considered to be open miracles. L'mala min hateva, that a person who sees the place where this took place shall make a bracha and give shvach v'hoida l'kadosh baruch hu. Bishlam ma'avrois hayom, by kriyas Yansuf dichsi vayavo b'nei Yisrael b'soich hayom vayabosha. They went inside of the Yam in dry land. Me'avros hayarden, over there also dichsi vayamdu hakoyhanim nosei haaron bris Hashem becherova b'toich hayarden. They went on dry land inside of the Yarden. Hachein v'kol Yisrael oivim becherova adasher tomu kol hagoy la'avor as hayarden. Like the pasuk goes on to say, and all of Klal Yisrael also passed in the dry land of that Yarden when they passed it, when they crossed over the Yarden. Ela ma'avros nachalei arnon min nolan. Where do we know the passing of Nachalei Arnon? The Nachalei of Arnon, where do we see that was a miracle that took place that requires a bracha? Dichsiv al ken ye'omar b'sefer milchamos Hashem es vahev b'sufa. The Gemara explains, what is this referring to, es vahev b'sufa? The Gemara brings the following. Tana es vahev b'sufa shnei mitzaroim hayu dahav mahalchim b'soif machane Yisrael. This is a reference to two people who had tsaras, who were stricken with leprosy. One's name was Es, and the other one's name was Hev. And they were at the soif of the Machane Yisrael as Klal Yisrael was traveling in the Midbar. Ki havel kochal fi Yisrael, when Klal Yisrael was passing by, Osu Amoroi, the Amoroim, the Amorites rather, Avdei Lohoin Nikirusa, they were hiding, Vitoshu Bohon, they made tunnels that they were hiding inside of, up in the mountains when Klal Yisrael was traveling in the valleys down below. Amrei, they said, Ki chalfu Yisrael, the Amorites said, when Klal Yisrael were then passed by, Halcha, here, naklit noin, let us kill them. V'lo hava yodo, the Aaron have a maske kamayu, the Yisrael have a mamich, lehu turi mikamayu. They didn't know that the Aaron, before the Aaron, it was the clouds of glory, the Anei Kavod, that would come in front of Klal Yisrael and travel before them, a 3 days journey, and it would then destroy or lower, in this case, mountains that would make it then walkable for the Klal Yisrael to then travel easily when they come behind it. So they didn't know that the Aaron, which had the Shivei Luchos inside of it, was traveling before them and was mamich, was actually leveling the mountains downwards, pushing it down into a level position. And they were hiding above in these mountains, in the caves of the mountains. Kivan da asa Aaron adbeku ture bahadi hadadi v'katlinun. The Aaron, when it came, it caused the mountains to cleave together to hit one another. The way Rashi explains it in Chumash is that they had these mountains and they had the caves that were dug out inside the mountains and they were hiding inside of them. The other side of the mountains, they had protrusions. So when the Aaron came and it caused them to then go inside of one another, the protrusions actually entered the caves, killing all of the Amorites inside of it. And Klal Yisrael, who was subsequently traveling down below in the valleys, then they saw a stream of blood, says the Gemara to explain. Again, Kivan da asa Aaron adbeku turi bahadi adodi v'katlinun. When the Aaron caused the mountains to join one another, they killed those Amorites. V'nochas demayu lenachle Arnon, and their blood then subsequently flowed down to the Nachle Arnon. Ki osu os vehev, when these two Mitzrayim were at the end of the Machane Yisrael, chazu dama the kanafik mibene ture, they saw that there was blood that was flowing down, that was going out between these two mountains. Also, they came va'amrei luhu Yisrael. They told Yisrael what took place, that they saw all of this blood. Va'amru shira, and Klal Yisrael saying shira to Hashem. Hainu, they see that's what it meant in the pasuk ve'eshed hanachalim asher nota lasheves ar v'nishon legvul moyav. There was an outpouring of the Nachalim that veered towards those who dwell in Ar and remained in the Gvul of Moav. So that's a reason to say a special bracha when a person sees that place of Nachalei Arnon. The Brisa goes on to say Avnei al Gavish. This really refers to hailstones. The Gemara explains what is it referring to, this hailstone. My Avnei al Gavish. Says the Gemara to make a drasha tana, brings a brisa, avonim she'amdu al gav ish. It's a contraction of the word al gav ish. Al gavish is al gavish, for the sake of the man. V'yardu al gavish, and went down for the sake of the man. What is it referring to? That it stood up, it was sustained for the sake of man, the hailstones, and it went down for the sake of man. And each one we should make a special bracha for. Says the brisa to explain. Amdu al gav ish, it was suspended. It was standing, it was suspended for the sake of a man. Ze Moshe, referring to Moshe Rabbeinu. Dirshu, and says, V'ha'ish Moshe anav ma'od. So it says that Moshe is referring to as the ish. Dirshu, it says, V'yachtelu ha'koilos, v'haborad, umata lo nitach arza. And the voices and the hailstones, they desisted from falling down, and they didn't arrive at the ground. That was for the sake of Moshe, who davened to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to stop the hail. Yardu al gav ish, and it was going down for the sake of a man. Who's that referring to? Ze Yoshua. Dirsiv, kach lecha es Yoshua ben Nun, ish asher ruach boy. He's referred to as an ish. V'ksiv, and it says, Vayihi benusam mipnei bnei Yisrael. It says that they ran away from bnei Yisrael. Heim b'marad beis charon. They went down to beis charon. V'Hashem hishlich aleim avonim gedolos. Baruch Hu threw upon them these great stones, referring to the hail that killed them. So when a person passes that place, he makes a bracha to what took place in the times of Yoshua. Even shebikesh oig melech habashal lizroik al Yisrael. If a person comes across such an even, that stone that oig melech habashal wanted to then throw it upon Klal Yisrael, Gemara Gemirila. We have the following Mesara teaching us: Omer Machane Yisrael kama have tlasa parsi. How much was the size of the Machane Yisrael? Have tlasa parsi. It was 3 parse. Izil v'iakar tura. By Tlasa Parsi, Oig picked up a mountain that was the size of Tlasa Parsi, of 3 Parse, V'ishti alayu v'iktelinhu, and he threw it upon them, and he wanted to kill them. Ozil, he went, Akar Tura, this is what he was, until now he was saying to himself, he said to himself again, the Machana Yisrael, he said, is 3 parsa. Therefore, I'll take a stone, a mountain that's 3 parsa, I'll pick it up and I'll throw it upon them. So now the Gemara explains what took place. Ozal Akar Tura Bar Tlasa Parsa. He went and he uprooted a mountain of 3 parsa. Va'isi al Reishe, and he carried it on his head. Va'isi Kucha Bruchu Alea Kamsi V'nikvu V'nachis B'tzavare. But Akash Baruch Hu, he carried upon that mountain, there should be a load of ants that ate up then the mountain, the inner part of the mountain, and it fell on his neck. He tried then getting it off him as he was lying on the ground with this mountain on his head. It says, his teeth were then on this side and pulled to that side. He wasn't able to then dislodge himself. And that's what's meant in the pasuk. Shinei rishoim shibalta. The teeth of the rishoim you had broken. Shimon ben Lakish, the Omer of Shimon ben Lakish, my dechsi shinei rishoim shibalta. He makes a drasha. Al tikrei shibalta. Don't read that you had then broken. Ella shirbavta, that you have extended. You extended the teeth of oig that caused them to be stuck and not be able to get dislodged. Moshe Kamahava, how big was Moshe Rabbeinu? Eser Amos, he was 10 Amos. 10 Amos tall. Shokil Nagro, Bar Eser Amin, he took an axe that was the size of 10 Amos. Shovar Eser Amin, he jumped a height of Eser Amos. Umachya Bekarsule Vikatle, and he jabbed with this axe, he cut into the ankles of Oig Melech HaBashan, how tall he must have been, and he then killed him. So a person who sees that Evan, that Oig Melech HaBashan wanted to throw on Klal Yisrael, then he shall make a special bracha to Mishabech Hashem for that nace that occurred. The Evan sheyoshav aleha Moshe, and the Evan that Moshe Rabbeinu sat on, what is it referring to? Dirsi videi Moshe kvedim, the hands of Moshe were very heavy. V'yichu Evan v'yasimu tachtov v'yeshev aleha, and they put an Evan. He didn't want there should be cushions. He wanted to be bitzar with Klal Yisrael who were fighting against Amalek. And then they put these Evans underneath his arms, and he sat underneath it to then support himself. A person shall say a bracha on that as well. V'ishto shel Lot, and the wife of Lot, Shneimar says, Vatabet ishtoi me'achorov, and his wife, referring to the wife of Lot, she looked behind her as they were escaping Sdoim, Vayasimu, Vatahi nitziv melach, and she became a pillar of salt. Ask the Gemara, before the Gemara asks, V'choymas Yericho shenivlo, you should also make a bracha on the Choymas Yericho, the Brisa goes on to say, the wall of Yericho that became swallowed into the ground. D'chsiva tipol achoyma tachteo, and the wall fell underneath it. Ask the Gemara now, Bishlome kulo nisa, all of this list that we mentioned in the Brisa, they're all nisim, and therefore you make a special bracha of shvach t'Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Ele ishto sheloit puranusahu, but the pillar of salt, that Lot's wife became a pillar of salt, that is a punishment. Why are we making a bracha on that? Says the Gemara, Da'omar Baruch Dayan HaEmes. You're making a bracha Dayan HaEmes on that, when you see the pillar of salt. But the Brisa says you're making a bracha on Shevach v'Hoidah, and it mentions the wife of Lot as being one of those brachos. Says the Gemara, Tani al Lot ve'al ishto mevarchim shtayim. You're making 2 brachos. You're making a bracha of Shevach v'Hoidah on Lot, and you're making a bracha Dayan HaEmes on the wife of Lot. Al ishto oimer baruch Dayan HaEmes ve'al Lot oimer baruch zoches hatzadikim, referring to in the schus of Avram Avinu olav hashalom. You're making a bracha on that because of Avram, Lot was saved from Sodom. Rabbi Yochanan afilu b'shas kaish HaKadosh Baruch Hu zoches hatzadikim, even when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is upset, kavayachal, he's angry, you make a bracha that Kadosh Baruch Hu remembers the tzaddikim, in this case Avram Avinu. Shenemar says, "Vayi b'shachis Elokim es arei hakikar, vayizkar Elokim es Avraham, vayishalach es loit mitoich ha'hafeicha." Quoting that bracha that we say on the miracle of Choymas Yericho Sheniv'ola that says in the Brisa, Gemara comes back to that. V'choymas Yericho nivla is the wall of Yericho. Did it actually become swallowed? V'hanafla, behold, it fell. That's what the pasuk implies. Shenemar v'hi kishmoya ha'am es kol ha'shofar v'yiru ha'am trua. They blew the shofar trua gedola v'tipol ha'choyma tachtel, and the wall fell down. So why does it say that you make a bracha because the wall became absorbed in the ground? Says the Gemara, Kivan de pusya veruma ki adadi minhu, because the width and the height of the wall were the same. Mishum hachi avlo beloi, because of that it was absorbed in the ground. That was what it meant when it said it fell. Because if it just, normally a wall falls, so let's say falls down, so then it's clear that it fell down, because it goes from an erect position to then falling down. But over here, since the width and the height are the same length and width together, therefore if it were to then topple, it wouldn't look like it's falling down. So it actually went and was absorbed into the ground. That's what it meant when it was falling down. Rav Yehuda Marav Marav says the special Shevach v'hoidah when we are saved from particular situations. Arba tzrichim lahoidos. There are four that need to give special hoidah. Yardei hayam, those who travel through the sea. Holchei midbaros, they travel through the midbar, through the desert. Mishahaya choyle minisrap, somebody was sick and became healed. And the fourth one, Mishahaya chavush bebeis ha'asurim v'yatza, somebody who was held captivity in jail and he is left to go free. Says the Gemara to explain each and every one of them. Yardei hayam minalim. Where do we know Yardei hayam? The person should give special hoidah. Dirshu Yardei hayam ba'aniyos, and it says Heima ro Masechet Hashem. They saw the Masechet of Hashem. Vayim says Vayam ruach se'ara yalu shomayim yardu tahaymos. They saw a strong winds coming from Shamayim, and it was going down to the depths. Vayim also said Yachoyu v'yano kishikor. They were going back and forth, waving back and forth, like a drunken man. Vayim says Vayitzaku al Hashem. They cried out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Batzal lehem u'mitzukoseim yosiem. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu took them out from their distress. Vayim Yakim Se'ara L'Demama, he caused all of that wind to become silent. Vayimar Vayismechu Ki Yishtoiku, they rejoiced because it was silent. Vayimar Yoidu La Hashem Chasdoi V'nifloisav Livnei Adam, they gave praise to Hashem for His chesed and the niflos that He does for people. That's in regards to Yardei Hayam. Holchei Midbaros Minalim, where do we know that those who travel in the Midbar and they come out and they are safe, they should make special hoidah dichsiv. The pasuk says, Toba midbar b'yishimoin derech ir moishav lo matzu. They became lost. They went astray in the midbar, and they couldn't find their way out. Vayitzaku Hashem. They screamed out to Hashem. Vayadrichem b'derech yeshara. He guided them in the upright path. Yodu Hashem chazdoi. They give thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for His chesed. The third one, Mishecholav v'nisrape, a person who was ill and he became healed. Dichsiv, it says, Evilim b'derech pishom uma'avonoseihem yis'anu kol oichel tisoiv nafshom vayizaku el Hashem b'tzar lahem. They screamed out in their distress, Yishlach devoro ve'yipar'em. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent His word and He healed them. Yodu Hashem chazdo, they gave thanks to His chesed, for His chesed. And that's also stated, these psukim in Tehillim. The fourth one, Mishaya Chavush, Bebeis HaAsurim, he was imprisoned and he comes free, Minolon. Dirsiv, Yoshvei choshech v'tzalmovis, he's sitting there in darkness. Ki himru imrei kel, v'omer vayichna be'omer libom, v'omer vayizaku el Hashem b'tzar lahem. They screamed out to Hashem in their distress. V'omer yotzei michoshech v'tzalmovis, HaKadosh Baruch Hu took them out from that darkness and that shadow of death. V'omer, and it says again, Yodu la Hashem chazdo, and they give thanks to Hashem's chesed. Ask the Gemara, what is the hoidah, the special bracha of shvach and hoidah that they give? What's the nusach? Omer Rav Yehuda Baruch goimel chasodim toivim. Abai amar v'tzorch le'aduye kami asara. When he gives a special bracha of hagoimel lechasodim toivim, then he gives so in front of 10. Dirshu says v'yarmuhu b'kal Hashem, and they will uplift, they will elevate HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the kahal, referring to 10 of the Am. Marzuta Amar v'train minayhu rabbanon. There will be 2 of them that will be of the rabbanon. There will be chachamim. Shenemar v'moishav zikenim ya'aluhu. As the pasuk says, it will be amongst those who are zikenim, the Talmidei Chachamim. They shall praise him. Praise Hashem. Ask the Gemara, Maski for Rav Ashi, ve'ema kulu rabbanon. Maybe all of them are to be the rabbanon. That what you're supposed to say the special bracha in front of. Ask the Gemara, miksiv bekahal zikenim, bekahal am ksiv. It doesn't say in the presence of the kahal of zikenim, of the chachamim. Rather it says kahal am. Ve'ema be'asara shar ima v'trei rabbanon. Then say it should be 10 plus 2 that are zikenim, because it says on the one hand kahal am, and then it also says Moshe zikenim yahalu. So maybe it's 10 and plus 2 chachamim. Says the Gemara, kasha. That's a ha'ara, that indeed it would be mashma perhaps that it could be 10 and 2, and therefore not just 10 alone. These are the kasha. Rav Yehuda chalash va'aspach. The Gemara brings that Rav Yehuda was sick and became healed. Ol legabe Rav Chana bagadeto v'rabbanon. Rav Chana from Baghdad, and the rabbanon came to visit him. Amrule, they said to him, Barich Rachmana, the Yavach Nihilon, v'lo Yavach le'afra. Blessed is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who gave you to us and not gave you to the ground, to the ofar. Omar lehu patarton yasim aduye. You were pointer me from then giving special bracha of hoidah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's mentioning over here that they mention Hashem's name and also Shemu Malchus together, so it's to be a proper bracha. And he said, you are pointer me from this bracha. I asked the Gemara, you have to do so in front of 10. There were 10 present. I asked the Gemara still, but he didn't give the bracha of hoidah to be then yotzei that bracha. Answers the Gemara, Lotzricha da'ani basrayu amen. He answered after them, amen, and therefore that suffices to him, then have him be included in this bracha as if he was coming to be moideh and a special bracha of shvach and hoidah la Hashem.